Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, got a few errands to run today, so I figured I'd take advantage of this time while I run my errands to put out a quick video, something that's been on my mind for a while now. And the topic is advanced coangler strategies. I'm probably going to put a series out, a bunch of videos, and I'm probably going to get involved with doing some of the live events, going live with this thing, because I could talk all day about this. Nowadays, a very, very difficult battle to face, and one of the main things that you can do off the break that doesn't have anything to do with the equipment you're using, doesn't have anything to do with anything monetary that you can tangibly get your hands on, and that's your mental. You gotta ask yourself, can you do this? Can you do it? And do you have the confidence to do it? Having confidence is everything. And you've got to have that. You've got to attack it with that mindset that no one's going to keep me away from fish. That's my mindset every time. I've never had any issues. I understand a lot of people have had different issues and, all this backboating stuff. I really feel like the more you educate yourself on the body of water, the tendencies, the river system, how it fishes, the forage, what times of the year do the forage tend to hatch? What times of the year does the forage tend to change color? There's something that they eat in that particular ecosystem make the forage change color. Once you get invested to that degree, the only difference that separates you from the boater, really, especially in these BFLs, is the person that has a boat. And half the time that's not even the case, because nowadays a lot of coanglers have boats. They just are learning the lay of the water until they get confident enough. Again, that word confident, you can hear that word coming up a lot. Until they get confident enough to jump out on their own on the boater side. That'll be me in a year or two. I'm still gonna fish on the coangler side until I can confidently feel like I can put together a day's worth of fish. So yeah, that's a big thing. You gotta have confidence, and going into these events, you gotta understand that a lot of the people that you're fishing with, they're just like you. They got families. They don't do this 24/7. Therefore, they don't have the time as a professional to dedicate to being out there all week, because they have to work, they got families, they got other responsibilities. This is a weekend series. It's a weekend series for a reason. So as a coangler, you got as a coangler that's trying to take it to the next level, you got to figure out how the way to close that gap. And the way to close that gap is knowledge. Expanding your knowledge base, understanding what's going on. So when you get out there, you're not just fishing blind, and you're not just dependent solely on that boater. Because let me tell you, oftentimes, you're gonna be put in a position where the boater looks to you and asks you, "Hey man, do you know anything? You got anything?" Because at the end of the day, y'all aren't fishing against each other. I don't want to say y'all are on a team. I'm not gonna go that far, but y'all are in that next tier right underneath that. Y'all can work together to figure it out and put y'all minds together, and so you guys can both be beneficial. You both possibly can cash checks. So don't just go out there and not know what's going on. Understand that water, understand what it takes to win, understand the migration patterns, if there's a warming trend. There's so many different ways to go, but that's a whole other topic. But getting back into just advanced strategies, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is boaters are gonna be trying to put themselves in the best position. Therefore, you have to learn and understand that and be able to put yourself in the best position. Now, keep in mind, sometimes it's not all even about catching. Sometimes you have to understand what's going on, understanding the technology. Now, technology has changed the game for a vast number of reasons. You got live imaging, you've got the Ultrex, you got all these different trolling motors that got spot lock and that, you know, all these different features. But I had a situation, not even really a situation. I was fishing a open tournament, and I was on Chickamauga Lake, and we were ledge fishing. I think the boat was probably sitting in about, 12 feet. We were casting up to about 7 feet on a flat, rocky flat. Fish scattered all over this flat. And my boater was a younger boater. I consider, a lot of people feel like I'm young. I consider myself, once you hit 40, man, you're old. But anyway, my boater was definitely younger than me, not a problem. And I noticed that the boat kept changing positions all the time. I was still catching fish, but it was just hard to get in the groove. So then I just kind of started to pay attention, like, what's going on? I noticed he, wasn't talking as much. He's concentrating. I bagged one, he bagged one or two, and I bagged one, he bagged another one or two. Some of them kept, some of them didn't. And looking at his setup, I noticed that he had a 360. And so it finally just dawned on me, hey, he's identified, maybe a little wolf pack of fish, and he's chasing these fish around on 360. So boom, automatically, how do you fish around that? You got to break that down in your mind. So for me, he was throwing a Carolina rig on this flat, which wasn't bad because any type of drag bait, I was dragging a jig. That's what I'm comfortable with. Everybody know me. I'm a jig person. But whatever, granted, he was catching some fish, but he was doing a lot of chasing. So that tells me, for the most part, there's more than one fish that's out there. Obviously, there's a group of fish, and they're scattered, and they may not necessarily be entirely honed into what he's on, because maybe the bigger fish he was chasing after weren't really on that Carolina rig. But understanding this as a co-angler, knowing how to diagnose that, and not just standing in the back of the boat blind casting, understand why the boat's moving. You need to be locked in. And it's not always about catching fish initially. Sometimes you got to diagnose what's going on so that you can put yourself in a position to catch fish. So I immediately locked in on that, and I'm like, okay. In that situation, I felt like the best thing to do for me was to make long casts, 60, 70, 80 yard casts, and just drag it back slow. He could turn the boat and chase these fish all he wants, but and that's fine. I didn't have a problem with that at all. I was still catching fish, but sooner or later I'm gonna drag across a sweet spot. And I understood that they were scattered all over. He wasn't just running up to a brush pile, this, that, and the third. We'll talk about that as well. People that are isolating structure, nosing into structure, and then you just back there casting into nothingness, or nothingness, I should say. So yeah, just want to share that with you guys on the co-angler side. Understand what's going on in the boat and how you can diagnose it so that it can put you in a better position. In situations like that, make long casts. That's not going to be applicable in every situation, but if they're chasing around fish, it may not be a good idea to throw a drop shot. It may be a better idea to throw a moving bait. And I probably should have picked up a moving bait, but I felt confident in that jig, even though he was moving the boat around so much and I kept catching him a lot on jig. So that's where I was going with it. And I was hoping that eventually I would catch one of the kind you need. So stay tuned to what's going on the boat. Put yourself in better position. And I have another tip videos coming up next. Thank y'all again for the support. Strike City.